Shabbat Shalom. So you might have noticed during the Torah reading that we did at the Mincha service, you might have noticed or heard the word cholam. And in fact, over the past few weeks, you might have heard this word numerous times in our Torah readings. And does anyone know what this word is? What is its English translation? Maybe you took a Shabbos nap this afternoon. I know it's hard to squeeze one in when Shabbat ends so early, but maybe you also had a cholam during your nap time. But it means dream. And we're about to learn a lot about the dreams of Yosef and also the dream of two other people that he meets in prison. And in the past few weeks, we've heard about dreams as well, about Jacob's dream with the ladder. And even though we might think that the dream with Jacob wrestling an Ish, a man, was a dream, and in fact was not. Never says he went to sleep or dreamed. So it's pretty amazing. It might be a coincidence or not a coincidence that in the Jewish month of Kislev, dreams, or actually the sleep, is a quality that we're supposed to focus on. Now, it's unclear in Sefer Yetzirah, the book of formation, that it could have looked at what is happening in the story of our people in the Torah and then decided, because of that reason, it should be sleep and dreams, or if because of this time of year, it gets so dark, we naturally want to sleep more. You know, maybe we're taking cues from nature that seems to hibernate animals, and also where the leaves fall from the trees, that we also feel like we want to go into our own dormancy. But there has this overlap of what we have in our parshiot for the month of Kislev about dreams and about the quality of sleep or dreams we're supposed to work on with ourselves. Now, it might seem odd, how can we actually work on our dreams? Because maybe we can work on our quality of sleep. Do we have bedtime rituals? Do we say the bedtime Shema? Maybe we're not going to eat certain foods before going to sleep. But how can we actually work on the quality of our dreams? And are our dreams simply just dreams? Or could they be prophecy, anxiety, indigestion, if you did decide to eat certain food before you went to bed? And how can you remember your dreams? So we're going to look at some texts and figure what is actually going on here. And just a side note about Sefer Yetzirah, many people have not heard of this book before, had a chance to look at it, but it's quite fascinating of what it talks about, that each month has certain qualities and attributes. And it's attributed to none other than Jacob, to Yaakov. And it says because in the Torah, he's the first person that looks up at the stars. So, of course, a book that talks about constellations and stars has to be written by him. But we're unclear yet who actually is the true author. So we're going to turn to the second page. And if I can have someone read Bereshit 40, chapter 40, verse 5. And I'm going to hand you the mic so that our friends at home can hear as well. So it's going to be the first box on top of here. Yeah.
Both of them, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, dreamed in the same night, each his own dream, and each dream with its own meaning.
Okay. Amazing. There seems to be a lot of repetition here, right? Does anyone have thoughts about this, of where it says both of them, each his own dream, each its own meaning, but at the same time, it mentions it was on the same night. Does anyone have any thoughts about this? Of why is it so wordy? Why? Normally the Torah is not verbose, but when it is, there might be a reason.
Just to prove it's just for reason of Joseph. So just get to know Joseph, and then Joseph gets out of the prison.
So it's to prove that Joseph should get the praise from it, and that it's talking about that each of these dreams are connected to the individual.
I think this is the only reason that that's for the Joseph to interpret them, and then they just take that good name to the king, and then from there he goes up and up.
Beautiful. That it's all, this is all happening just so that Joseph can interpret it and have that ability to, yeah, wonderful. So I'm going to have us, we're going to get onto that. It definitely, we're going to get onto that because it is true. But first we're going to look at a text before we look at a text that confirms that. Thank you so much. We're going to turn the page to Talmud Brachot. Oh, yes.
Share one more thought about it. The notion of of having dreams in prison can be terrifying. You're in prison, you have no freedom, and whatever is taking place could be something very positive, perhaps, or something very negative in this particular case. But it's a different experience, I would imagine, having dreams in prison than having dreams if you're out on vacation, for example.
That is so profound. So time and place matters for your dreams, especially when you're not a free person. What does it mean to have a dream when you're not free? So they're in prison, they don't have freedom, they don't have choice. So what does that mean to have a dream? So we're going to turn our packet to the next page where it says Talmud Brachot, and Brachot 55b, verse 20. And if someone can read, it's the bottom box. I can read it for us. Rabbi Yochanan also said, 3 dreams are fulfilled. A dream of the morning, a dream that one's fellow dreamed about him, and a dream that is interpreted within a dream. And some say that a dream that is repeated several times is also fulfilled, as it is stated, and for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will surely bring it to pass. So don't worry if you didn't get in a Shabbos nap today, a Shabbos shloof with a dream. It wouldn't have come true anyways, because it's only saying that you're dreaming in the morning. And here we see something about the doubling of dreams. So Pharaoh has dreams that are repeated. Yosef has dreams that are repeated on the same theme, but with different, sheaves of wheat first, and then the sun, the moon, and the stars. But what about here? So we're hearing about these 2 characters that seem to have 2 dreams, but they're separate, but they have them on the same night. Do you think that somehow could be connected? That as it says, and for that the dream that was doubled? Do we think something about the language that we could say, well, how, or is it because only one of their dreams came true per se? What are your thoughts about this? How do we reconcile? Is there a difference between Bereshit, chapter 40, verse 5, and what we just read from the Talmud, or is there actually an explanation? Yeah.
I wonder if it means is it doubled? Is it doubled in the sense that 2 people are having the same dream, or doubled in that there are 2 people having different dreams side by side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm curious about. Like, were these 2 in the same cell? Like, if you're at summer camp and you're sleeping in a bunk, and both you and your bunkmate have the same dream, does that mean it's going to come true? Or does it have to be that you have the same dream more one nights in a row? And does it have to be the exact same dream in the same scenario or on the same theme? So I'm just curious what you might think, because how can we say here that, okay, so if we know from the cupbearer and the baker, the way that Joseph interprets it with the assistance of God is that one dies and one lives. But so it seems then from the dream that something was happening, they both came true. So how do we reconcile if there is a difference between what it says in the Talmud, or is there actually not a difference in explanation? Because both of them, the same night, each have his own dream, and each dream is connected to that repetition or doubling. We don't have to solve it tonight or the meaning of life. But I think it is interesting to think about what is it if you have, because sometimes we also have anxiety dreams. We might have the same anxiety dream. It's very common. People often have dreams of losing teeth when they're having a lot of anxiety, or they leave the house without their shoes on, and that can happen in a dream. So does that mean that one day you're actually going to leave your house without shoes on? So our anxiety dreams are their nightmares, and they're different than dreams. Yeah. All right, so we're going to continue back now in order where we were from Bereshit 40, verse A. If someone would like to read that for us. I'm realizing there's always room for growth, that I could have numbered the boxes, and that could have been easier. Yes.
And they said to him, we had dreams, and there was no one to interpret them. So Joseph said to them, surely God can interpret. Tell me your dreams.
And this connects to what you had said before, that they had these dreams just so that Yosef could interpret them and have Yosef have a good name. And also, Yosef doesn't take the credit for himself. He says, surely God can interpret them. So he brings the good name up to the one in the high with the good name.
But he says, surely God can interpret them. But then he says, tell me.
Yeah, but then he says, tell me. So does Joseph also have a little bit of a problem with ego? Right? We know that maybe he had these dreams that he shared with his brothers, and his brothers end up hating him. Maybe, you can have big dreams, but you don't have to maybe rub it in other people's faces. Other thoughts?
He's got the problem of the favored son, which is great expectations. And as a favored son, you have great expectations of you, and the question becomes whether he's going to live up to those expectations. And at least roughly 3/4 of the way through the story, he's not only is he not living up to great expectations, but his situation is getting worse and worse and worse. And even when he rises, he falls. He comes to the house of Potiphar, and he's doing fairly well, and then he gets into trouble. And here he is in prison.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. It's very true that there comes a lot of weight on the shoulders of the favorite son, and we've seen this throughout the last couple parshiot. How do parents put expectation on their children? And that can actually cause a lot of problems. It can cause fighting between the siblings. It can also put a lot of expectation on them that they may have to try too hard, and that it can develop ego. So we saw that when it came between Isaac and Yishmael. We see it also between Esav and Isaac, where each of them are kind of pushed into certain hobbies or fields. Maybe originally showed a liking to certain arena, but then we saw their parents really had pushed them, and how parenting styles can also create challenges for the children. But we also don't want to always blame everything on parents, because parents have a hard task. So we also want to see, how do you, parents are trying their best themselves. But where does Yosef still have also areas to grow, and how he has this journey of rising and falling again and again, finding himself in the best situations and then quickly in the lowest situations, the highest and low. So we're going to continue on for time's sake and move to Bereshit 41. If someone could read that for us in the box. Do I have a volunteer? It's the box right below. Yeah.
And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, but no one can interpret it. Now I have heard it said of you that for you to hear a dream is to tell its meaning. Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, Not I. God will see to Pharaoh's welfare.
Great. So we see that Joseph's dream interpretation skills have made their way to Pharaoh. Pharaoh, we know, has had these dreams. And once again, Joseph here says, not I, but God will see to Pharaoh's will. But he also wants to be the one who's going to interpret it and know it. So I just have, going back to when we have dreams of what they could mean, do you feel like you could ever interpret your own dream or ask someone else to interpret it for you? Have you ever had someone interpret your dream?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, Helen just said his therapist, and I tend to think of my own dreams in terms of the sort of psychological meaning of them, not necessarily the kind of fortune-telling part of them. And that's an interesting thing, I think, about Joseph, sort of moving the claim to God, because we're really explicitly told in the Torah not to seek out fortune tellers, and that includes dream interpreters. So I wonder if this is a way of the Torah sort of saying, well, yeah, that's true, but it's not actually Yosef, it's God, so don't worry. Yeah.
Very well put. Have you ever thought about being a rabbi? Have you ever thought about being a rabbi? That was really well put. I thought today you were going to get Smicha up on the bima. You did such a good job. I thought, Rabbi Dorf was going to come over and place his hands on you. So we're going to move ahead to about what is this dream interpretations and what does it say about saying your dreams out loud? What does Judaism and the Talmud have to say about it? So if you turn to the last page in your packet, but not on the very last side, but on the inner side, where it says Brachot 55b, 7. And we're going to look at what happens if you happen to have a bad dream or a dream that you're concerned about and you're not sure if you should have interpreted or not. And what about that said it could be avodah zarah, or we don't want our dreams interpreted. And one reason that we know as Jews we shouldn't necessarily like rely on horoscopes or dream interpretation is because in the ultimate, God can change our future, and that something might be read for us in the present, but we really can rise above the stars. So what happens if you have a dream and it is very disturbing, you're not sure what to do about it? So let's see what the Talmud has to say. Would someone like to read for us? Yeah.
Rav Huna bar Ami said that Rabbi Padat said that Rabbi Yochanan said, one who sees a dream from which his soul is distraught should go and have it interpreted before 3. The Gemara is surprised by this. Interpreted? Didn't Rav Chisda say, a dream is not interpreted is like a letter not read? Sorry, a dream not interpreted is like a letter not read. If one is concerned about a dream, why would he actively promote its fulfillment? Rather, say as follows. He should better it before 3. He should bring 3 people and say to them, I saw a good dream, and they should say to him, it is good, and let it be good. May God make it good. May they decree upon you from heaven 7 times that it will be good, and it will be good. Afterwards, they recite 3 verses of transformation from bad to good, 3 verses of redemption, and 3 verses which mention peace.
Great. Thank you for reading that. So before we saw about the repetition of doubling, and here we see 3, where the magic number is 3, if we want to say it magic, and it has the ability to transmute or transform it from something bad that is good. Even if the dream that was being said is bad, the listeners, the 3, the Beit Din, they act as a judge, a court, are going to say it was good. So they're going to say, don't worry about it, you got it off your chest, it's going to be for the highest good, and we're going to actually see what you can do to make it good, but it's good. What does everyone think about this? Is this just placebo? Or do we think that actually we have the ability with a Beis Din, a court, 3 judges, or if we have, even maybe if we gather 3 friends, to actually change reality?
Well, I mean, I think the metaphor is interesting. A dream not interpreted is like a letter not read. So if you don't read a letter, you're not going to have the knowledge of the contents of that letter. So if you don't examine your dream, or if you don't go into community with other people, just period, you're going to be deprived of knowledge, and you will just wallow in the, oh my gosh, the world is ending. I had this dream that, a meteor came and killed all of us. I'm thinking about the dinosaurs right now. But if you ignore community, or if you sort of isolate in any sort of fear, that's just going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I really love that. So it's community actually is what reassures us. And when we have community, then we can actually be our best and brightest selves. No matter what the future holds, it'll be okay because we have community. I really like that. And we have a great community here at Temple Beth, and especially at Sudat Shlishit. Anyone else have something they'd like to say that they agree with or don't agree with or question? I would love to hear.
Hearing under his breath, so.
No, I think your interpretation is a bit overly optimistic. What community enables, it may enable you to. I go back to the statement from the Tana Tokev, "Mavirin et roa hagzera." It eases the evil of the decree. You may be able to share things with community, but that doesn't necessarily change the reality. The other thing that is intriguing is, given the fact that we now know in psychoanalysis, at least, that dream becomes a means of interpretation of what the subconscious is offering, then the ability to grapple with dreams or handle dreams or even to assure one in the aftermath of dreams becomes a psychologically insightful modality, whether it is either a pablum or a means or a way of getting it out. I mean, if you ask, has anybody worked on dreams, anybody who's been in psychoanalysis has done an awful lot of work over years with dreams and with confronting what they mean and confronting what that's bringing out in the uncensored nature of dreams. So this is an insightful way of sort of giving you a handle on what to do with it and how to at least ease the anxiety of what's associated with it.
Thank you so much. That was
That resonates a lot, Michael, and I hesitate to say anything about dreams in the presence of a psychiatrist who knows much more about this than we do. Some people believe that dreams mean nothing on a brain science level, that it's just the neural bursts, that the only extent to which they mean anything is our putting it together, which means that it's really in your airing and then thinking about what it feels like to air your dream when you wake up, that they have any meaning at all. Otherwise, it's just pixels. And so in that vein, it's actually very interesting to read the text in Brachot that suggests that by having a Beit Din aver that your dream will augur something positive, suggests that it's actually it matters in the presence of whom you air your dream, right? Because in the presence of the right person, a nightmare can be transformed into something comforting. And the presence of a wrong person, you could express a dream that you thought pushed towards a positive, but somebody could undo that for you. So it may not necessarily be a Beit Din, but I do think it's in the actual articulation of them, and then your processing of that articulation, and how the person echoes it back to you, that that any possible meaning could emerge. So I agree that this was a rather psychologically astute and prescient text for ancients.
Thank you. Wise words from both rabbis. Okay, we have just a couple minutes, so I want us to turn to, if we're on this page, we're going to flip it to the bottom box here, Brachot 55b3. Also from the Talmud, and a different idea of what could be going on if we have a dream that is good or bad. Does someone want to read it? It's a short amount.
Rav Huna said, "A good person is not shown a good dream, and a wicked person is not shown a bad dream. Rather, a good person is punished for his relatively few transgressions with bad dreams, and a wicked person is rewarded for his relatively few merits with good dreams."
So what do you think about this? I think it's comforting if you've ever had a bad dream, that it maybe that is your quote unquote lesson learned is happening in dream world or a consequence versus in waking life, that it won't actually come true. But how do you feel about that someone's wicked will receive calm dreams? Why? So I wrote on here, maybe it's to inspire them to be kinder in waking realm, but how do we feel about this text?
Not great.
Yeah, not great, right?
Yeah, it's like, I think it's easy to make us. I know that I would, if I were to really like take this to heart and really believe it, I would think I would get a little anxious whenever I had a good dream, and then maybe grateful when I had a bad dream, which is like not the immediate experience that having a dream that someone is like trying to break into my house or something. Usually I don't wake up and say, "Oh, thank God for that dream," So yeah, not my favorite theology, but it's interesting.
Anyone else? I'll give you a lot to ponder and think about and maybe dream on. What?
I don't know anything about dreams.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard for us to remember a dream.
Things that if you dream like you're falling off a cliff, that's a sign maybe you don't have any support in your life. I've heard that if if you dream that you're always shut out, you're always just missing the train, you're always missing the boat, you're always, okay, that tells me you probably feel shut out in your own life. you
Yeah.
know. But I really, I really can't say much about dreams.
Yeah.
I don't know much about them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have a couple, some more pashiyot to really think about what dreams mean. We don't have to figure it all right out here. And also, hopefully we have 120 years to figure out what dreams mean.
I would only say that so many things happen in life that we don't know the consequences of them, whether they're going to be good or bad. Like with Joseph, if up and then he's down and he's up and he's down. And so with dreams, again, I don't know how. Everything in life is just so almost serendipitous in many respects, and even things that we, I can't speak. I'm just speaking for myself. We don't know things happen, and we don't know if they're. It's like the Chinese farmer. Is it good? Is it bad? We don't know. So with dreams, I don't know what to think.
Yeah. Right, the up and the down. We don't know what to think about dreams. What's gamzela tova? This goes for the good. And, like you had a horse and it ran away in the middle of the night, but then maybe it was good, or you were going to be you had your lamp. There's a story, the Hasidic tale, like he couldn't stay in the inn got robbed, he was outside, his lamp blew out in the wind, his horse ran away, but then the robbers couldn't find him. So around that too. So we have to close, but I want to leave us with one final text. It's the box above, Brachot 56a. The second half of the section, because we should always end with a laugh, at least. So Rava said to him, I saw 2 turnip heads. He said to him, you will receive 2 blows with a club shaped like a turnip. This was Rava's dream, and he was getting interpreted. That same day, Rava went and sat in the study hall the entire day. He discovered there 2 blind people who were fighting with each other. Rava went to separate them, and they struck Rava 2 blows. When they raised their staffs to strike him an additional blow, he said, that is enough for me. I only saw 2. So may your dreams be sweet, and not because you're a wicked person having sweet dreams. May you have sweet dreams, and may your dreams come true. And actually, I have to read just one more thing. And so we often say, if you will it, it is no dream, the quote from Herzl. But it actually is, if you will it, it is not a fairy tale. So may also all your dreams and fairy tales come true. Shabbat shalom.